Assistant coaches Dick Harder, Paul Silas, and Jeff Van Gundy, and the head coach, Pat Riley.
Well, the Knicks have lost the last 4 straight to the Rockets. Their last win over Houston, November of '89, and fans here at the Garden zero in on the Ewing-Olajuwon matchup of the Knicks and the Rockets get together. We asked Pat Riley, does he focus on that particular matchup?
I don't ever focus on it, and I do know we have 2 of the greatest centers in the game going at it tonight, but you know, we're talking about, well, what are we going to have to take away from them? What do we take away? And you cannot take away Hakeem. He's going to get numbers. You know, how big and how explosive his numbers are important to us, but there are other guys in other parts of their games. We cannot give them a lot of easy layups. We can't let their quickness affect us, and if we can take away a certain part of the game, then I think we can be successful.
And there is Hakeem Olajuwon making his way to center court to meet up with Patrick Ewing. Hakeem comes in averaging 21 per game, 12.5 rebounds, which is 4th in the league, and he is 2nd in blocked shots to David Robinson. Ewing is number 5 in blocked shots. Patrick Ewing is averaging 23.7. He is 6th in scoring in the NBA. And there are the officials. Knicks controlling the tip, and Gerald Wilkins gets right to it.
Couldn't even get the officials out, Marvin. Already the Knicks scored. Knicks are going to take advantage of their day off and take this team that played in Boston last night and try and hurt them with speed.
As last night, the Rockets beaten by the Celtics 98-85. Houston has lost 10 straight games at the Boston Garden. Houston shooting only 36% from the field last night, 30% in the second half.
They performed like the Knicks did in Houston in the second half.
Ewing with the jump hook. Normally when we've seen this matchup, Patrick Ewing seemed intent on getting his points, and he would go outside and usually put a jump shooting festival on against Olajuwon. Here's Maxwell.
That's the kind of shot that hurts this team. Rushed shots by Vernon Maxwell.
Good play by Wilkins, but Olajuwon was able to get back to come up with the rejection.
One of the things that Don Chaney is looking for in this team that's going to turn them around, although they're still a fine team. The notion is that they're a losing bad team, but they're a winning team, but they're not playing as well as expected, is leadership in the backcourt.
Oh, what a heads-up play between McDaniel and Jackson. They caught Kenny Smith looking the wrong way.
Kenny Smith is a wiser player than he indicated on that play. He really let his guard down.
It's the Knicks with a 6-0 lead. Here's Otis Thorpe being played tightly by Charles Oakley. Buck Johnson, 24-second violation, and a rugged start by the Rockets. Houston Rockets at 25-21. They have won 8 of the last 13, but they have been in and out right throughout the season. It'll be Houston ball. They won 8 of their first 10 games, lost 6 of the next 7, and then at one stretch lost 7 of 9, and then win 8 of 13. That's their current stretch.
Sounds tricky to me.
Very good pickup, John. Olajuwon off the hip fake was held by Oakley. The officials are F.T. Rush, Greg Willard, Tom Washington. It's a non-shooting foul, and Buck Johnson will put it in play. Kenny Smith. Mark Jackson able to recover off that screen set by Thorpe. Oh, nice move by Otis Thorpe, guarded by Patrick Ewing. The Knicks 6 and the Rockets 2. Wilkins. And Olajuwon off the board.
So quick to the loose ball. Olajuwon is so quick.
Johnson, it counts, and the foul. Buck Johnson, who had a 1 for 8 last night in Boston, with the nice drive, and he'll go to the line.
Buck Johnson, a skilled player who has started at the small forward position most of the games this year. Off to a good start with that move, but as you point out with those statistics, he has been quite erratic.
The Knicks 6 and the Rockets 4. 2.5 gone by. Kenny Smith guarding Mark Jackson. They used to go at each other the schoolyards of Queens. Xavier McDaniel providing an 8-4 lead.
Nice assist from Patrick Ewing, seeing McDaniel wide open.
Bernard Maxwell and Kenny Smith in the backcourt. Buck Johnson and Otis Thorpe in the front court, and Hakeem Olajuwon at center. Olajuwon establishing position. Wild shot. Keep it alive.
Patrick knows that Olajuwon will block shots, but he may not shoot that long jump shot as much for fear of that block.
Oh, what a play. Mark Jackson with a neat handoff to Patrick Ewing, and the Knicks now lead it by the score of 10-4. Terrific communication between Jackson and Ewing. Johnson. And Thorpe throwing it right back. Olajuwon with a one-on-one move. The Knicks now lead it by the score of 10-6.
What Don Chaney wants is for his team to use option after option when the first part of the play doesn't work. And he has found this season that too many times the team will rush into their own ways. In that case, Olajuwon has such skill, he could take that ball and go one-on-one.
Thorpe jumping out on a switch, playing Wilkins. Illegal defense called on Houston. So the Knicks get the new 24. The Knicks come off the Tuesday night walloping of Miami, turning it from the poor defensive effort against Golden State on Sunday. Pat Riley much happier with his team's shot selection in contrast to the Golden State game. Here's McDaniel. And Buck Johnson off the rebound.
How about Miami handling Golden State last night?
And Ewing with the rebound. Yeah, that's one that's always tough to figure. As bad as Miami looked here at the Garden on Tuesday, and then they go back home and knock off the Golden State Warriors. McDaniel. Oakley. Yes. The Knicks 12 and the Rockets 6. Buck Johnson in his 6th year out of Alabama. Now Kenny Smith for Otis Thorpe. Olajuwon. Excellent defense by the Knicks. That's a three-point attempt. Last night, the Rockets 0 for 8 from downtown. Oakley again.
It's always a bonus when Charles hits like that early.
And the Knicks hear it from the crowd. Houston taking a timeout. It's been all Knicks off the board. Going into tonight's play, the Knicks on top in the Atlantic, a game and a half in front of the Boston Celtics. Celtics knocking off these Houston Rockets last night in Boston. Boston not scheduled this evening. The Knicks off to the sharp start. They lead the Rockets by the score of 14-6. 6:15 remaining in the first quarter. And a 3-second violation call.
Otis Thorpe is camped down low. Olajuwon doing a lot of times out top of the circle, long ways from the basket. That's just fine with the Knicks. They'd rather see him shoot jump shots, I'm sure.
Wilkins using the pick. Played by Thorpe on a switch. Oakley wide open.
But he didn't look for a position. He didn't look to take advantage. So the middle opened up, however. Oakley did clear out, and Gerald finished the play.
The Knicks 16 and the Rockets 6. Now Ewing is back on Olajuwon. Oakley guarding Thorpe. Oh, pretty move by Otis Thorpe, who is headed to the All-Star game. He's shooting 57%. That is 4th in the league.
And he has been the most consistent performer this season for Houston.
Buck Williams on top. in field goal percentage at 61%. Thorpe with the rebound. Maxwell passing on the three and stumbles his way in. Olajuwon lost it. Maxwell with the save.
This is the man, Kenny Smith, who must lead this team. Don Chaney has been working on him to be verbal, to be more assertive, to tell people where they should be on the court. It hasn't happened enough.
That has not been his style, though. Shot clock at 5. Maxwell from downtown. So Maxwell is off to an 0 for 5 from the field.
Well, he is a very erratic shooter. He's a scorer as opposed to being a good shooter. But if he's off, this team suffers.
The Knicks 16, the Rockets 8. 4:40 to go in the first quarter. And the foul against the Rockets. That will not count. Foul before the shot attempt. It's on Olajuwon.
Ewing got the position nicely, had Olajuwon behind him. Now he's in control. Now he can do whatever he wants. Makes an Earl Monroe fadeaway.
Yes. Call for his first, and that is only the first team foul called on Houston. Ewing to the fade. Well, he reversed it and hit it.
That was a more difficult one.
The Knicks with an 18-8 lead as we come up on 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Marv Albert, John Andres, Bruce Beck, along with Earl Monroe for Clyde Frazier. Olajuwon getting to that loose ball. The Knicks defense has been superb here in the first quarter. Smith, air ball. Notice how many times the Rockets run down that 24-second clock. Knicks want a goaltend. They do not get the call. It's a 4-on-1, and Smith pulls up for the jumper.
Oh, that's one you got to make if you make that decision.
3-on-1 the other way. Wilkins from Jackson. It's a 20-8 Knick lead.
Well, when these two teams met in Houston, the Knicks elected to start Oakley on Olajuwon. The idea being take some pressure off Ewing. Tonight, the decision was for Ewing to guard Olajuwon at the start. Let the two Titans meet and work it out on the court. That's the way Pat Riley wanted to do it this time. The outlet pass moments ago after that Kenny Smith miss had Gerald Wilkins with a nice basket underneath the hoop.
Maxwell cannot hit. Wilkins called for that last foul. It's Ewing leading the break. Here's Oakley going the other way. A spectacular pass from Oakley to Ewing. And the Rockets will talk it over.
Are rolling.
Would you say that Don Chaney is upset with his backcourt? He just yanked Kenny Smith and Vernon Maxwell. Avery Johnson has checked in with Sleepy Floyd. Knicks on a 12-2 run. Thorpe angling in. Power move by Otis Thorpe, and the Knicks now lead it by the score of 22-10.
I must say, when I was talking to Don Chaney before the game about each of his players, when we got to Avery Johnson, he said, I feel great confidence when he's out there. And there wasn't a lot of good things said individually about the other players. That was Xavier McDaniel from the top of the key.
Knicks with a 24-10 lead. When you consider the Knicks going against quality opposition, this stretch over the last few moments may be, along with the effort in Utah last week, one of their best of the season, both offensively and defensively, just putting it all together. We come up on 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Jackson going all the way. He beat Olajuwon going to the reverse, but came up short. Buck Johnson backing Xavier McDaniel.
Knicks looking to run, and they are running.
And Olajuwon pitches down. 3-on-2. Here's Floyd. So the Knicks now lead 24-12. 12. Rockets 6 for 19 from the field, as opposed to the Knicks, who are shooting 12 for 21.
Don Chaney has to be delighted to see Floyd hit a jump shot. He said that he has been ice cold, unlike Gerald Wilkins, who just hit.
Meanwhile, the Knicks continue to succeed from every conceivable angle. Knicks with 11 assists already in this first quarter. They have 34 assists the other night against Miami. Heat with only 16, and the poor Houston shooting just rolls on. The steal by Johnson. 2-on-1. Oh, nice take by Avery Johnson. I don't think that's what Patrick Ewing expected.
You have to have good reflexes in order to be faked out. So what we just learned is that Patrick Ewing has good reflexes.
Knicks 26 and the Rockets 14. 40 seconds left in the first quarter. Wilkins. Knicks getting a host of second opportunities. Jackson fouled on the play. He was taking Avery Johnson to the hole. And Johnson called for the personal. John Starks and Kiki Vandeweghe now checked in, replacing Xavier McDaniel. Gerald Wilkins. Here's Anthony Mason for Charles Oakley. Oakley sits down, hitting 2 out of 2, along with 5 rebounds. Kiki Vandeweghe had a good one the other night against Miami. Mark Jackson to the free throw line. A substitution for Houston. Matt Bullard, second-year man out of Iowa, goes 6'10", 225 pounds. Has come on for the first time. And John, here comes Mr. Mean, Larry Smith, who is back off the injury list. Sat out 34 games with a knee problem.
Chaney said he would go to Larry early. He certainly doesn't know what to expect. The guy has been out so long. He's an older player, but he hangs around the boards and always seems to create problems. And the Houston Rockets delightfully remember last year when Hakeem was out for a long stretch. Larry Smith held that middle position down terrifically.
One of the reasons for that good run by the Rockets, despite the absence of Olajuwon. Bullard with the step. Nice move. Matt Bullard with his first field goal. The Knicks 28, Rockets 16. Vandeweghe getting right to it as this first quarter comes to an end. An excellent quarter for the Knicks. They lead 40-16.
At the end of one, Pat Riley has to be saying to his team, keep it up. We'll take a look now at the Toyota matchup. The principal players in the first quarter here have demonstrated a direction in this game that favors the Knicks right now. Patrick Ewing on that beautiful setup by Mark Jackson earlier in the game. And Ewing is doing it to Hakeem early in this one. Rebounding, of course, favoring Ewing, but the scoring in a big way favoring Patrick Ewing. But I'm sure Hakeem will be heard from.
And you can see the contrast of the first quarter. Rockets only 8 for 22 from the field. Sleepy Floyd with the open shot. And Hakeem Olajuwon able to get to it. So as the second quarter unfolds, the Knicks with a 30-18 lead. Greg Anthony, who had a strong game on Tuesday night against Miami, is on the floor for the first time, handling against Avery Johnson. Greg coming on from Mark Jackson. Anthony and Starks now in the backcourt. Pretty fake, but Ewing, who thought he was fouled, lost the handle. Bullet up front now with Olajuwon and Smith. Johnson's spin not working against Anthony. Here is Bullard. Well, Matt Bullard is on the floor for his offense. Played only 18 games as a rookie last year with a couple of stints on the injury list because of tendonitis in his knee. He's out of Iowa after 2 years at Colorado, where he led Colorado in scoring and then transferred. Starts with a nice move, but he gave it up. Here's Ewing.
The thing about Bullard, Marv, is at 6'10", he is a remarkable outside shooter. He has made 34 three-point shots this year. And to position that, only John Starks has more on the Knicks than Bullard.
Olajuwon to the fadeaway. And Smith and Mason have some words. Larry Smith called for the foul.
People feel Larry Smith when he's under the basket. He has a way of using his body to get those rebounds. He's not a leaper, but he certainly gets rebounds.
Otis Thorpe checking back in, and Hakeem Olajuwon will sit down, so Don Chaney will rest his big man with Pat Riley departing. Charles Oakley is back. Oakley, Vandeweghe, and Mason up front. Just underway, second quarter, and the Knicks lead at 30-20. Vandeweghe, rebounded by Floyd. Avery Johnson was left open. Anthony delivering to Mason. Vandeweghe, wild shot. Thought he draw the foul. And we get a late whistle. Ed Rush calling a push. It's on Thorpe as he got involved with Oakley. So the Knicks maintain possession. Don Chaney not agreeing with that call. Anthony being guarded by Johnson. Anthony's firing. Rebound Mason. And a reach-in call on Avery Johnson. Earlier this season, Avery Johnson was the point guard starter for the San Antonio Spurs in the absence of holdout Rod Strickland. Played 2 years with Seattle, then Denver, and San Antonio. A spark plug type player, a starter for the Spurs for 10 games last year. And he went from San Antonio starter to the bench to the waiver list.
And now thought of very highly by Don Chaney for this Houston Rockets team, which is searching for stability in the backcourt. In fact, Chaney told me also that he knows he'd get more points out of the backcourt if Sleepy Floyd was starting, but Sleepy is destined, I guess, as a member of the Rockets to come off the bench. He doesn't like his decision-making as a point guard, and he feels guarding shooting guards, he just isn't big and strong enough.
Bullet with a baseline move and then pops it back out. Here's Floyd. So Sleepy Floyd showing the nice touch, his second field goal. The Knicks now lead 32-22. 3 minutes in, second quarter. Mason was picked off. Floyd with the steal. Floyd all the way. And Mason on the rebound. Oakley. Larry Smith gets to it. Thorpe. And he was blocked. Otis Thorpe very close to a travel. But Oakley called for the block. That's his second foul. Otis Thorpe, the only NBA player to start every game the past 5 years. He's played in 506 straight games. That's the 10th best streak in that department in the history of the league.
He also has a streak going of starts for this team. Otis Thorpe has been starting most games for, it seems, a forever period, 457 to be exact. And his durability has paid off. Now a member of the Western Conference All-Star team for the first time in his career.
And as I mentioned, Thorpe, number 10 all-time. Randy Smith, who did it for the most part as a member of the Buffalo Braves, finished up his career with the New York Knicks. And Johnny Kerr, who is now the color commentator for the Chicago Bulls, the number 2 man in that department. Johnson again given the open shot and a pushing foul, loose ball foul called on Houston. Larry Smith starts with his second.
Larry doing a little too much pushing to get his position that he wants.
Knicks have led by as many as 14. They now lead by 10. They had a good 12-2 run to pull away in the first quarter. Vandeweghe. Now the Knicks in a sequence where they're not hitting their open shots. One of their problems against Golden State in the second half on Sunday afternoon. Mason tried to draw the foul, did not work, and Otis Thorpe has 8 points. It is now only an 8-point Knicks lead.
Knicks have had many periods this year when they have played successfully without Ewing. This is not one of them, though. This team has changed with Patrick on the bench.
John Starks able to go glass. Knicks now lead by 10 for Starks, his first field goal. Avery Johnson, Sleepy Floyd at the guards. Otis Thorpe up front with Larry Smith and Matt Bullard for the Houston Rockets. Shot clock at 5. Here's Floyd and Oakley to the rebound. Starks has a 4-on-1 and it's broken up. Nice play by Johnson. Johnson slipping it to Thorpe. It counts as a foul, and Avery Johnson has done some good things here at both ends.
Quite noticeable what Avery Johnson is doing. He's delivering the ball beautifully, slides it right through to Otis Thorpe, who finishes the play. But at the other end is where he really made the big play. There was no deception given by John Starks on a 3-on-1, and Johnson just took the ball out of the air.
Off the foul by Mason. Thorpe able to finish off the 3-point play. The Knicks 34, Rockets 27. 5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Xavier McDaniel is back in, goes to the fadeaway, rebounded by Mason. The Knicks controlling the offensive board. Thorpe jumping out on Starks. Floyd with the steal. Here's Thorpe rushing by Ewing. That's the second time that John Starks has been picked off, and Pat Riley wants to talk about it. Timeout taken. The Knicks lead is down to 5.
Guys want to go back.
The Coca-Cola Concert Series presents Bill Cosby at the Paramount tomorrow and Saturday. Tickets are on sale now at the Garden Box Office and all Ticketmaster locations. To charge by phone, call 212-307-7171.
6.5 remaining first half. The Knicks lead once 14 is now down to 5. They double up on Ewing. And it will be Nick Ball with 10 on the shot clock. Joe Wilkins returns, replacing John Starks.
Starks probably thinking, no margin for error tonight. 2 bad passes and I'm back on the bench.
Don Chaney continuing to rest Hakeem Olajuwon. Knicks only 1 for 8 here in the second quarter. McDaniel, yes. Strong drive by the X-Man.
What was nice about that move is at the end of the dribble, he hung in the air for a split second and enabled his body to get right in line with the basket.
Rockets getting back into it off a 13-4 run that just concluded with that move by McDaniel. And Sleepy Floyd with a very difficult angle jumper.
What was Chaney talking about? He said Floyd has been ice cold, and Floyd has shot the ball well here.
Here's Ewing. The Knicks lead 38-31. Patrick Ewing has 8 points.
Well, Larry Smith has the body but not the spring to deal with Ewing under the basket, and we see Hakeem Olajuwon getting ready to check in now.
Thorpe. McDaniel to the rebound.
Now the Knicks lucky. Thorpe had some position.
Mason. Oh, look out. You know that's going to be a quick apology from Sleepy Floyd as he grabbed Anthony Mason. Apparently Anthony accepting.
Well, he didn't get hurt. He just got tied up in knots by Sleepy, who went for a ride, actually, on that defensive move.
So Mason to the line. It was a good foul by Floyd, preventing the shot. Anthony Mason, 2 for 2 from the free throw line.
Well, the surprise here for the Rockets in the first half. Take another look at this play moments ago by Patrick Ewing when he had position on Larry Smith, who couldn't deal with him. The surprise is the backcourt. Kenny Smith leaving the lineup here early in the game, and Maxwell, and they have been replaced by people who are doing a much better job. Avery Johnson with the ball now doing a terrific job.
Well, they combined for a fine 0 for 9. Maxwell 0 for 6. Smith 0 for 3. Here's Bullard for 3. Olajuwon on the rebound. Oh, is he off? Knicks lead by 9. Jackson going all the way. He was bothered by Bullard. And here's Floyd. So the Knicks now lead at 40-33. Sleepy Floyd has come on for 8 points.
With the substituting Pat Riley has done, his team now has to reestablish the fine play of the first quarter. They've got to build some momentum, and right now they don't have any momentum of that nature.
4:25 remaining in the first half. Dangerous pass thrown by Jackson. Johnson with a gorgeous move.
Came back to the right hand. He looked like he was all left until the very end of that move.
Well, that was a pistol Pete Maravich type move by the slick-looking Avery Johnson.
That's an unhappy Knicks coach. Look at Johnson dealing with Ewing down low, battling and waving his arms. And then he gets the ball in the middle of the court, has Gerald Wilkins in front of him. Gerald didn't bite the fake, but he just made a great move. Another look at it again on that deflection. Johnson picks up the ball. Gerald goes back to stop and get in front of him. Johnson looks off to the left and then goes to the right hand for the finish.
Avery Johnson in his 4th season out of Southern University is only 5'11". And as we mentioned earlier, began the season with the San Antonio Spurs, was in the starting lineup when Rod Strickland was holding out for a while, played well. Rockets with the 6 fast break points in the second quarter. They're now trailing 40-35. We come up on 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Ewing rejected. Johnson calling out a play. Olajuwon able to pick off Jackson, then goes in on the pick and roll. Gets to Thorpe. Nicely done.
Well, if the Knicks shook this team up, hurt their confidence early, they've allowed them to come back and get their confidence rolling.
At one point, the Knicks led by as many as 14. McDaniel gives the Knicks a 5-point lead. Xavier has 8 points. Here's Johnson to the hook. Jackson whipping by Floyd, finding McDaniel. Another good play by Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson played so well in the first half against Miami on Tuesday night. And it was Pat Riley in the postgame news conference who said it was Mark who set the tempo early, particularly from the defensive end. Another good play by Janari. The save handled by Olajuwon. Let me edit that. Good hustle by Mark Jackson, but not a good choice in terms of saving it in your front court.
He thought he was going to get it to his teammate, but it didn't work out that way, and that's the danger in making such a play. Better off letting it go out of bounds.
Mark Jackson, though, with 7 assists in this first half. Floyd got a piece of that. Last touch by the Knicks is the ruling from Ed Rush. Timeout called by the Knicks. It's only 5 for 17 from the field. Houston had a very poor shooting first quarter in contrast to the Knicks, but it's turned around here in the second. Hakeem Olajuwon stopped once again. 8 rebounds for Charles Oakley. Here's Gerald Wilkins. And that over the top of the backboard, so the ball goes back to the Rockets.
One of the things the Knicks did so well the other night, thrashing Miami, was shoot from the perimeter well. They were hitting their shots all night. And I know Pat Riley would love to see a return to that form, and it doesn't look like the Knicks are going to duplicate that here in the first half anyway.
Pat Riley said that may have been the best 48 minutes of the season on Tuesday against Miami. Bullard for 3. Just did get a piece of the glass. The Rockets 0 for 8 last night from downtown against Boston, and they picked right up. They're 0 for 4 tonight from three-point land. Ewing.
What a fine move. He ran into an obstruction by Olajuwon, and he was able to overcome it. Boy, that's athleticism, how you can adjust. Big man to be able to do that is special.
The Knicks lead by 7. Minute 15 to go in this first half. Wilkins trying to break it up. Thorpe on the recovery. Rejected by Ewing. It will be Houston ball.
Thorpe at 6'10" has plenty of size. issued the fakes, but he was still rejected by Patrick.
Second block for Ewing. Ewing with 12 points, 6 rebounds. Olajuwon taking bad shots. Forcing the jumper. Jackson. Oakley with the tip.
Isn't that pretty? He just forced his way in there and with the soft tip got it done.
The Knicks 48 and the Rockets 39. 8-2 run by the Knicks. They've led by as many as 14. Avery Johnson with a dribbling exhibition. Here's Floyd. Ewing on the back tap. McDaniel getting down, and Mark Jackson with his 8th assist. The Knicks 50, Houston 39.
Knicks have gotten their first quarter personality back in the last 3 minutes.
Olajuwon with the fake and the bucket. Easily his best move of the half.
That's an awesome move.
Final seconds, first half. Jackson. The Knicks lead 52-41. 3 seconds to go. Down to 1. 3-point attempt. So the Knicks with a good run to conclude the second quarter. And they lead the Rockets by the score of 52-41. Coming up in a moment, Lisa Burkhart with a look around the NBA and the NHL at the MSG Sports Desk. And then Bruce Beck with Earl Monroe, who is sitting in for Walt Clyde Frazier. That's coming up at halftime. We'll be right back.
Square Garden, where the New York Knicks have an 11-point lead over the Houston Rockets at the half. And as far as the Olajuwon-Ewing matchup, well, it's been all Patrick in the first half. Olajuwon had 3 air balls. Ewing with 7 boards to go with the 12 points. And the Knicks with an 11-point lead at the end of one half of play. It was a 12-2 run in the first quarter by the Knicks, which blew the game open. Rockets came back for a while. Right now to Lisa Burkhart at the MSG Sports Desk.
All right, thanks, Bruce. The Nets are trying to put an end to a 6-game losing streak and are facing the also struggling Washington Bullets this evening. The Nets trail 59-46 in the second quarter. Bill Fitch was forced to start Kenny Anderson, his first NBA start with Mookie Blaylock out. Early going, Kenny responded here, working the ball up court, taking the pass from Drazen Petrovic, nailing the jumper. Just 7 points for Kenny, though, at the half. Wes Unsel's Bullets controlled most of the first half here. Purvis Ellison takes the alley-oop for the slam. Bullets lead 33-30 after one. Bullets opened up the second quarter with a 10-2 run. Tate George blows a layup. The Bullets come back in transition. Michael Adams to David Wingate for the jam. The Bullets by 11. They continue to lead. At Cleveland tonight, Lenny Wilkins' Cavs look good in the first quarter. They led by as many as 10 on Mark Price. Long alley-oop to Larry Nance for the lay-in. But the Pistons went on a 19-2 run. Bill Lambier hits a 3-point shot. Cleveland missed its first 16 shots in the second quarter. It's 44-33 Detroit now. A couple of other games also underway. Orlando's in front of Atlanta, or actually Atlanta's in front of Orlando 32-22 in the second, and it's Charlotte leading Golden State in the second 63-46. The Los Angeles Clippers named Larry Brown as their new head coach today. Brown, who was fired by the San Antonio Spurs January 21st, was not out of a job for long. He'll replace Mike Schuler, who was given the axe by the Clippers. Brown posted a 153-win, 131-loss record with the Spurs and talked about his first plan of action.
The biggest thing I want to do is to get the players to understand what their responsibilities are, to establish a work ethic that when people come into this arena, they know we play hard every night and play unselfishly. And if we do those things, I think the results will be pretty good.
The All-Star break doesn't officially begin until tomorrow, but some players have already made their way down to Orlando to get a head start on some of that sunshine. One of those All-Stars already there is the Bulls' Michael Jordan. Jordan played a little golf today, is one guy who doesn't seem worried about competing against Magic Johnson, who of course has the AIDS virus, and is the center of attention at this particular All-Star event.
I'm looking forward to playing against him, and hopefully he can have a great last All-Star game. I don't know if he's going to try to come back and play anymore, but I think the All-Star game is going to give him a good sense of, what he can do for the rest of the season in terms of playing, in the Olympics.
And we'll have more from the MSG Sports Desk when we return in just 1 minute. Star point guard Bobby Hurley for up to 3 weeks. Hurley, who played high school ball at St. Anthony's, has a broken bone in his right foot. He suffered the injury in the first half of last night's loss to North Carolina, but he played the entire game. I'm Lisa Burkhardt. That's the news from the MSG Sports Desk. We'll send you back to the Knicks right after this word.
Off to such a great start.
Let's take a look at the highlights in the first half of the play with the Knicks leading by 11. Highlights brought to you by Minolta, creators of the world's most responsive SLR cameras, the new Maxim XI series. Earl, let's begin with Mark Jackson, who had a fine first half with 9 assists on the break, getting the ball to the X-Man.
Well, Mark Jackson, one of the things he's doing great now is getting the ball up the court without dribbling. That time hitting the X-Man for the jam.
Now let's watch the big men execute a fast break. This was pretty funny to see Ewing and Oakley combine.
Well, big men always want to be guards. This time we see Patrick Ewing getting down, handing the ball off to the Oak man, and now back to Patrick for the backward jam. Good play.
Olajuwon really did not get into the flow offensively until late in the second quarter.
Well, he hit jump shots early on, but now this time he spins and over Patrick. Good jam. Nice play.
All right, so at halftime, the Knicks have the lead by 11 points over the Houston Rockets. We'll take a short break. Back with the second half of action from the Garden in a moment. Knicks by 11 at the half right now for a special presentation to public address announcer Mike Walzeski.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to center court, where Paul Crotty, Vice President for MetLife, will present the MetLife Nick of the Month Award for the month of January.
On behalf of MetLife, I'm delighted to present the MetLife Nick of the Month Award to Patrick Ewing. And on behalf of MetLife, we present a check for $1,000 to the United Negro College Fund. Congratulations, Patrick.
Ewing, a 4-time winner of the MetLife Nick of the Year Award, winning the MetLife Nick of the Month Award. Here are the past winners. John Starks this year in November, Starks again in December, and Ewing for January. He averaged 24.5 points per ball game during the month. Right now, let's go back to Marv Albert and John Andres.
All right, Bruce, and a look at the first half statistics. Check out the difference between the first quarter and the second. The Knicks 14 for 24 in the first quarter. Houston only 8 for 22, but that turned around until the Knicks came alive in the second quarter, but still only 9 for 23 from the field.
Knicks lost the touch. Both teams, when they're not shooting well, living on jump shots. Rebounding, of course, favoring the Knicks 2-1. Charles Oakley leading the way already with double figures in that department. And Dutch Boy in the paint shows the Knicks owning the area around the basket. 30 points to 18, and the Houston Rockets with no points on second chance opportunities. The offensive rebounding total was only 5 for Houston. The Knicks doing a much better job in that department.
And during the halftime intermission, repairs were needed on the rim that was used in the first half. Apparently the rim was bent, and they replaced the rim, although they're still working on the netting now as we get set for the start of play in the second half.
Wait a minute. Just let me get it started.
And obviously our microphones are there to capture all the action.
Bringing the fans closer. That's a rare sight these days, because with the rims being adjusted now, that they can take those slam dunk situations and there's give to the rims. They snap down. It's rare to see one affected that much, but There are a lot of room grabbers out there tonight, Marv. You've got to look out for those types.
And John, I want to remind the folks that the new MSG Network feature our maintenance man microphone, which we'll be using from time to time. Boy, the electronic wizard, Howie Singer, and director Bobby Lewis, always coming up with new twists.
You've always got to bring something new to the table or to the garden.
And apparently the rim and the netting is set, and we got underway in the second half. And Don Chaney is back to his starting backcourt of Kenny Smith and Vernon Maxwell. They had a dreadful time of it in the first half. Mark Johnson, stripped by Mark Jackson. 2-on-1. Jackson goes all the way. The Knicks now lead at 54-41.
Give you an idea how Houston lives off jump shooting. They went to the foul line in the first half twice.
Maxwell 0 for 6 from the field in the first half. Smith was 0 for 3. Maxwell for 3. Well, he opens up by hitting from downtown. And the Rockets, who were 0 for 8 from three-point land last night in the loss to Boston, finally able to hit 0 for 5 in three-pointers in the first half. Ewing. And here comes Maxwell. It's a 3-on-2. Maxwell getting it up over Ewing. It will be Nick Ball. The Knicks now lead by 8.
Vernon Maxwell is such a talented, athletic player. He jumps high. He runs fast. He's very, very strong. Point being before as to why Sleepy Floyd wouldn't be a starting number 2 guard is he doesn't have the strength to guard taller, tougher outside shooters as Maxwell does.
Jackson. And a loose ball foul called on the Knicks. It's on Ewing. That's his first. Well, how about Vernon Maxwell shooting 40% from the field as he did last year? He did hit 172 three-point field goals, an NBA single-season record, but he had 510 attempts.
He's right on target, too, Marv. He's already taken 226 this season.
Olajuwon is fouled. Jackson looking to knock the ball away.
Patrick Ewing trying to draw the offensive foul was enough of an obstruction to deny a good shot.
Johnson up front with Otis Thorpe, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kenny Smith, and Vernon Maxwell in the backcourt. Here's Thorpe, and he was hacked.
Well, there was eye contact between Maxwell and Don Chaney, the coach, after that beautiful pass from Vernon Maxwell. He gave the ball up, and that's what the Houston team needs more of. Unselfish play from the backcourt, setting up those big guys.
Second foul charge to Patrick Ewing. Otis Thorpe, a 69% free throw shooter. Otis Thorpe in his 8th year out of Providence, way off at the free throw line. And Houston 1 for 4 from the foul line. Jackson backing Smith, and then spins. Gorgeous move by Mark Jackson, who has come up with another very strong performance.
Now, that's the kind of move that makes you think Mark Jackson could really work with some of the bigger players on the Knicks and teach them some inside moves. That was gorgeous.
Kenny Smith right back. The Knicks 56, the Rockets 48. Oakley being given the shot, and he's been hitting. Charles Oakley 4 for 5 from the field, so he has 8 points along with 11 rebounds. Knicks extend to a 10-point lead. 3 minutes gone by in the third. Here's Buck Johnson with the wide open jump. Look out. Oh, Oakley taken down and with a glare in the direction of Otis Thorpe, who's called for the foul.
Thor put the arms on Oakley's shoulders, and Oakley, as he moved up, was off balance, and that's why he came down so hard.
And Ed Rush with the foul call on Kenny Smith, who was angling for position with Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson with 10 points and 10 assists. He is among the leaders in assists. He averages 8 per game. Jackson and Wilkins in the backcourt. Oakley, Ewing, and McDaniel up front. Ewing drawing the double team. Last touch by the Rockets. Knicks have 15 on the 24.
Kenny Smith, Mark Jackson's adversary for many years, going back to Queens in the playgrounds in high school, had a very poor first half. Only 9 minutes of play, didn't score, had 3 assists.
Now Ewing one-on-one. Yes, and it counts. Olajuwon called for his second foul.
Well, Ewing gets that ball down low. Hakeem figures he can outweight him and then go up for the shot block, but Patrick's fakes were too distracting for Olajuwon, and he couldn't quite get it going.
First time at the line for Patrick Ewing. And by virtue of the three-point play, he has 15. 8.5 remaining in the third. The Knicks now by 13. The Knicks perfect at the foul line. And the Knicks get it back. The Knicks at 29-16, a game and a half in front of the Boston Celtics. They've won 6 of their last 7. Olajuwon with the pass handled by Johnson. Rockets at 25-21, coming off the loss in Boston last night. And the whistle away from the ball called against the Knicks. It's called on Oakley. That is his third. Following the All-Star break, the Rockets resume next Tuesday night in Seattle. They'll continue the road trip. Next Wednesday, they play the Clippers of Larry Brown in L.A. Announcement coming earlier today. Here's Maxwell, hit by Jackson. I'll check that. Wilkins called for the foul. So the Knicks are over the foul limit, and Vernon Maxwell will shoot a couple.
Interesting to see how long Don Chaney now goes with Maxwell and Smith. They're his starters. But they got such good play from Avery Johnson and Sleepy Floyd in the second quarter. It brought them actually back into the game. Tough decision for a former coach of the year, Don Chaney, to play through now.
Yes, Don Chaney getting the nod with the Rockets surprising people despite the injury suffered by Hakeem Olajuwon. They came on strong at the end of last season, finished in third in the Midwest, only 3 games behind the first place Spurs, but in the playoffs wiped out quickly in the first round by the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, wild pass from Oakley. And it will be Houston ball. Matt Bullard getting set to check back in. A corner-to-corner pass attempted by Charles Oakley. The one player who would get away with that type of passing in his brief NBA career, Ernie DiGregorio, remember with the Buffalo Braves, he fired from one corner to the other, but had a good eye for it. Always a dangerous pass. Here's Maxwell, and the Knicks now lead 61-52.
Now Ernie D's officiating career is moving along. I remember he took a run at that for a while, didn't he, Mark?
We'll get on the phone and we'll check it out, John.
I appreciate that.
Here's Wilkins. I do recall he gave it a shot, and then I believe he wanted to coach it for a while. Here's Kenny Smith. The Knicks with a 61-54 lead. And Pat Riley calls for time with 6:49 remaining in the third quarter.
Secure fit. Life is short. Play hard. Reebok.
World record holder Mike Powell and other track and field stars are scheduled to compete. Tickets are available at the Garden box office in all Ticketmaster locations. To charge by phone, call 212-307-7171.
Is that a pre-recorded promo?
Live, Mark.
Very smooth.
Live.
And the foul called on Thorpe. Very smoothly delivered.
Thank you.
Otis Thorpe with his third. Because I know with the problems that you've had in the past, there's been a movement toward the possibility of putting these on tape.
Are you going to buy a ticket now? Did you like the...
Buy a ticket, John? Did you say buy a ticket to a Garden event?
I lost it for a second. Well, you could buy some for the throng that you might want to bring here.
Patrick Ewing with 16 points. And the Knicks now lead 62-54. 6.5 remaining in the third quarter. The Houston backcourt turning it around in this second half. The starting backcourt 0 for 9. However, they have come out and hit 5 out of 6 from the field. Vernon Maxwell and Kenny Smith regaining the touch. Shot clock at 5. Off the steal. Here's Jackson for McDaniel. And it's 65 and Houston 54.
Well, when everyone holds the position they should on a fast break, that's what happens. Jackson off to the side, and McDaniel filled the middle lane.
Mark Jackson has 12 assists. Olajuwon off the head fake, gets it back out. Shot clock at 5. Hakeem may set a personal record as Ewing with the rejection leading to the 3-on-2. Wilkins gets it back, but it's picked off. And here is Olajuwon. I was about to say he may set a career record for most air balls personally in a game. He has been off the mark. Only 10 points for Hakeem. Bullet out to help. Ewing to the fadeaway. Jackson able to rescue. Ewing saves the look away. McDaniel on the rebound. Oakley rejected by Olajuwon. Smith accelerating. And back come the Knicks. Jackson beating Maxwell. And stripped by Olajuwon. What a wild sequence. Look out. McDaniel tried to save. And it will be Houston ball.
Look out, Warren Moon.
Yes. He of the run and shoot. Warren Moon at courtside nearly got clipped by Xavier McDaniel. There is Warren taking in his favorite club, the Houston Rockets.
When you're having good times with friends, use good sense and drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
Well, Warren Moon is okay despite that brush with a hard-charging Xavier McDaniel. Warren Moon attends many of the Rockets games in Houston, and he has said on a couple of occasions that he would like to buy into an NBA franchise. Here's Thorpe. Houston Oilers with a very disappointing finish to a season that was going extremely well most of the way. The Knicks now lead the Rockets 65-58. We come up on 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Marv Albert with John Andres, Bruce Beck, and Earl the Pearl Monroe. McDaniel. Mason missed the tip. Mason is back in. Mason up front along with McDaniel. Oh, nice move by Vernon Maxwell. John Starks is also checked in. It's Starks and Jackson in the backcourt. Mason, McDaniel, and Ewing on the front line.
Boy, Mark Jackson got caught standing tall, and Maxwell just blew by him.
McDaniel facing a double team, and the foul is called. Thorpe coming over to help out. Bullard picks up the foul, his first. And now Houston over the foul limit. McDaniel to the line for the first time. The Knicks are perfect at the free throw line, which is a rare occasion for a team that has struggled throughout the season at the line. They are now 10 for 10 from the foul line.
I'm sure from Pat Riley's standpoint, though, they haven't gotten to the line as much as he would like to see them get there.
The Knicks 67 and the Rockets 60. Battle between Thorpe and Ewing. And Ewing with the rejection. The officials checking it over. Last touch by the Knicks.
Well, Ewing not in a favorable position here, but he has enough of his fine timing to send that one back.
Maxwell, it counts. And the foul. So Maxwell will go to the line. Starks called for the foul.
It's a big lift for Houston when Maxwell starts scoring. He is an explosive player. And if he gets the touch going from the outside, this could spell trouble for the Knicks. Inside, you know he's tough.
All 14 of his points coming here in the third quarter. And the Rockets, who trailed by as many as 14 in the first half, have now moved within 4. Starks hesitating and then took the three-point attempt. And you get the idea John Starks' philosophy has changed following the statements made by Pat Riley after the game against Golden State. Here's Starks. And Olajuwon on the rebound. Pat Riley did not like the fact that Starks was bombing away from all angles, and he indicated he feels that what got John Starks into the league, his defensive play, may have slipped away, that he's looking more for the offense, and he has been taking too many shots. Now he's hesitating.
Yeah, that was a 9 for 21 performance for John.
Olajuwon with the shot clock running down. The Knicks lead it by 4. We come up on 2 minutes remaining. In the third quarter, Mason took his eye off that pass. Don Chaney staying with most of the first unit throughout this third quarter.
Well, the half-court game is not the game of the Rockets. They function best when they're running.
Shot clock now at 2. 1. Jackson with the steal. Jackson behind the back for Ewing. It has been a terrific game for Mark Jackson. Foul called on Mason. 13 assists along with 10 points. Olajuwon to the line. Let's check in with Lisa Burkhardt at the MSD Sports Desk.
Marv at Landover, Maryland. The Nets are getting shellacked. Harvey Grant leading the Bullets here on the Michael Adams miss. Grant's there for the rebound to put the Bullets up by 21. He has 22 so far as Washington leads at 87-62.
Thank you, Lisa. The Rockets continue to struggle at the foul line as Olajuwon missed the first, and Houston is now 4 for 8 from the line. It has been a very poor performance to this point for Hakeem Olajuwon, but the Rockets able to take advantage on that recovery.
Marv, as you recall, he missed 7 games in December with an irregular heartbeat. And Don Chaney told me before the game he has never gotten his timing back. And we are seeing examples of that throughout this game. He said his quickness and his speed have totally eliminated the effectiveness that he usually brings every night. He's working hard, but the Hakeem Olajuwon that people are used to seeing just hasn't returned. And the Knicks are fortunate to be facing him tonight in that situation.
A timeout is being called. Hakeem Olajuwon now will be lifted as Tree Rollins reports in for the first time.
You can now buy half-price New York Knicks tickets on game day with their new Coca-Cola Knicks We're Big in School card, presented by Nobody Beats the Wiz. It's also good for discounts on Coca-Cola at the Garden and for $1 off CDs and cassettes at Nobody Beats the Wiz. High school students can pick up their cards from their high school student affairs office at the Garden box office or from Nobody Beats the Wiz stores. Restrictions may apply.
John, I would go back to the pre-recorded.
Well, I just wanted to throw that in, Mark, just to give you an idea of
showing human quality.
Perfection versus human qualities, right.
The Knicks 69 and the Rockets 65. 45 seconds to go in the third. We were discussing Ernie DiGregorio a few moments ago, and the electronic wizard, Howie Singer, checked out his whereabouts. He is back in Providence. His bullet for three. Half minute remaining in the third quarter, and Thorpe able to keep it alive. Ernie D did coach North Providence High School for a couple of years, gave it up last year, and has continued his association with Providence College. What an exciting player he was. Ernie D. Starks off the steal. 3-on-1. Starks all the way. Won't count, but John Starks will go to the line. He was grabbed by Vernon Maxwell.
Starks having a frustrating night. He's unable to put a solid imprint on this game with his contributions. But the one thing about John Starks is he continues to compete very hard. And if you keep working hard, good things will happen.
John Starks, a 77% free throw shooter. So the Knicks are now 12 for 12 from the foul line.
John did have a very fine game the other night in Miami with all that balance. He came out of it with 16 points, 7 out of 10 from the field, and 8 assists in only 26 minutes.
Final seconds of the third. Knicks with a 6-point lead. Kenny Smith for Tree Rollins. Good defensive work by the Knicks, preventing a final shot by Houston. After three, the Knicks lead 71-65. Well, it's been an outstanding night for Mark Jackson. 13 assists to lead both clubs in that department, along with 10 points. And if you look back to a year ago, the way Mark Jackson was going, did not appear that he'd still be wearing a Knick uniform. We talked to him about that earlier.
This is where I wanted to be. There's no secret about that, because this is, where I've lived all my life, and my roots are here. But I really was unsure. I didn't know. I knew that there was a lot of people when Dave Checkers came, when Coach Riley came, that said negative things about Mark Jackson, that said he was a hard guy to talk to, a lot of things. But the thing that I appreciate most is those guys got to know me as a person and sat down and talked to me, and I got to know that it wasn't true.
And Mark Jackson certainly turned himself around and has become a very valuable contributor. Here's Starks on a three-point attempt as this fourth quarter gets underway. The rebound handled by Tree Rollins. Mark Jackson worked extremely hard in the offseason. He also knocked the frills off the game. There's no more helicopter, no more animated celebration. I don't think that Pat Riley would have accepted that. Also, you may recall, John, the other night against the Bullets in Landover, John Starks talking it up with A.J. English, and he said to Starks, "You want to keep talking, you'll sit on the bench. You want to play, be quiet." And Starks has responded to that. Here's Ewing. So the Knicks now lead 73-65.
Well, the idea is not to draw attention to yourself, but perform as a member of a team, and that's the focus of Pat Riley's message.
Ed Rush with the foul against the Knicks. It's on Mason. Here's Greg Anthony replacing Mark Jackson. And Mark Jackson hears it from the crowd. 14 assists now for Jackson.
Big game for him. After a frustrating game against Miami, he got in foul trouble, oddly enough. Only played 15 minutes the other night, and Anthony came in and did a solid job for him.
And it's a traveling violation. Although, as mentioned earlier, the Knicks coaches said that Mark Jackson really set the tempo defensively and also on running the club when he was in there in the first half. It's the Knicks 73, the Rockets 65. Anthony Anthony and Starks down the backcourt. Ewing, Mason, and McDaniel up front. Starks played by Floyd. So the Rockets back to the second string backcourt that did so well in the second quarter. Thorpe called for his fourth. Avery Johnson matched with Greg Anthony. Sleepy Floyd is guarding John Starks. Hakeem Olajuwon getting set to report back. Here's Ewing, fouled by Rollins.
Well, Patrick Ewing was set up beautifully on that play, and he had to go to the basket the way the pass came to him, and he drew the foul as a result.
Larry Smith and Hakeem Olajuwon replace Otis Thorpe and Tree Rollins. Thorpe sitting down with 19 points and 4 fouls.
I get a sense that Houston is playing right now as if they're behind 15, 18 points, and they are within striking distance, certainly. They seem to have lost some of their zest.
That's the first free throw missed by the Knicks. They hit their first 13. It has been a subpar outing thus far for Hakeem Olajuwon. He's hit 5 out of 12, only 10 points. 2 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Rockets with the ball. They're trailing by 8. Down by as many as 14. Olajuwon off the head fake, gets it back out. Here's Floyd. Sleepy Floyd with 10. The Knicks now lead 73-67. Eric Sleepy Floyd, a Georgetown University teammate of Patrick Ewing. And Floyd with the steal, but Anthony on the recovery. Starks for 3. Oh, way off. Ewing could not save it. Light pressure being shown by the Knicks. Now they drop back. Anthony guarding Johnson. It's Avery Johnson hand-checking the defender. Olajuwon. Rebounded by Smith. Here's Floyd for 3. And McDaniel gets to it. And it will be Nick Ball. Looked like Hakeem Olajuwon lost his sneaker.
I don't think it was on a fake either, Marv. Somebody must have stepped in the back of his shoe, and off it came.
Last year, Hakeem missed 25 games after taking that inadvertent elbow from Bill Cartwright, which caused a fracture around his right eye. Rockets, though, went 15-10 during that stretch, keyed by the play of Larry Smith. Floyd with the steal. Floyd, and that is pinned by Starks. It's a goaltend.
Meanwhile, Sleepy Floyd has added an awful lot to this team tonight. Don Chaney hasn't been happy with his play this season, but tonight he's got to be delighted. Floyd is playing both ends of the court very well. You see Starks come in and pin that ball or make the big physical move.
It is a 4-point Nick lead. Starks around Floyd and then blocked by Olajuwon. His third rejection. So the Rockets able to hang around, and now they're within 4 points. Here is Olajuwon. Another air ball. The unofficial count is that here's Vandeweghe. Yes. A 3 for Kiki. Unofficially, we have counted 6 air balls thrown up by Hakeem Olajuwon. The Knicks 76 and the Rockets 69. 4 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Illegal defense called for the first time against the Knicks. Now Gerald Wilkins reports back, replacing John Stark. Sits down with 4 points. John only 1 for 5 from the field.
John getting a lot of encouragement, however, from his teammates and Pat Riley when he comes back. Has his head down, you know he feels badly about his performance.
A good pick by Smith that caught Anthony was able to recover. Avery Johnson, it counts. And the foul. Greg Anthony felt it should have been a charge.
Avery Johnson adding an awful lot to this team tonight. That's a bad sign if you're a Knick rooter right now. When you see a shot like that go in, it makes you feel that things are going to go the way of the visiting team.
Avery Johnson, 72% free throw shooter. The Knicks lead 76-72. They collapsed on Ewing, going for the steal, but a foul call. It's on Olajuwon. That is his third. Now Bullard will depart. Buck Johnson coming back on, and Buck Johnson will be matched with Kiki Vandeweghe. Bullard sitting down, leaves with 4 points. 7.5 to go in the fourth. Anthony hit from behind. Foul by Avery Johnson.
Rockets seem to be coming on, though, Marv. There are ominous signs here. There are nimbus clouds over the Knicks right now. Oh, rain clouds circling. Greg Anthony had a lot of nice things to say after his fine game the other day. In fact, in today's Times, he pointed out how Mark Jackson has meant so much to him. He said he's very clever. I've learned a great deal just watching Mark orchestrate the offense. And Pat Riley, surprisingly, put some pressure on Greg Anthony. Riley said he's in his purgatory right now, in shooting purgatory, not shooting that well, but we need him to develop quicker if we're going to go anywhere. It's unusual to have a rookie spoken about that way.
Well, you know, that NBC experience really helped Pat's vocabulary. Purgatory.
Shooting purgatory. Never heard that.
The Knicks lead by 6. 5 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter.
Actually, Marv, it does mean he's on his way to heaven.
Thank you. Wilkins, yes. Carroll Wilkins with 10 points. The Knicks lead 80-72. Play of game warning called on the Knicks. Rockets would have liked to have moved down court on the transition, but the ball was batted away. The Knicks have lost the last 4 in a row to Houston. Their last win over the Rockets. Anthony on the foul. November 21st, 1989. That was here at the Garden in overtime. Knicks swept by the Rockets last season. The Knicks call for a timeout.
Is brought to you by New York Telephone, who reminds you the New York Telephone regional calling area is bigger than you think. It seems that the Knicks have been stronger off the bench of late, but tonight it's a surprise for the Rockets. Don Chaney's delighted about Sleepy Floyd's 12 points. 23 points for the Rockets off the bench to only 15 for the Knicks. John Starks off and Kiki Vandeweghe with 5 points, not burning it up himself.
And there's Houston coach Don Chaney. 45 years old, out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, coach of the year last season. And he did it all with the issue of his contract running out at the end of the season. And then he was renewed during the offseason. Played 11 years in the NBA, 1 in the ABA with the St. Louis Spirits. Houston able to capitalize on all the Knicks turnovers. Knicks lead it 80-72. 6.5 to go in the fourth quarter before a crowd of 17,987 at Madison Square Garden. Pass overthrown, intended for Olajuwon. The Knicks with Anthony and Wilkins in the backcourt. Ewing, Mason, and Vandeweghe up front. Larry Smith got entangled with Patrick Ewing, and he's called for the personal. That is his third. It also puts the Rockets over the limit. The Knicks with only 3 team fouls. Substitutions. Thorpe is back. Here comes Maxwell. So a backcourt of Kenny Smith and Vernon Maxwell. Otis Thorpe up front with Hakeem Olajuwon and Buck Johnson. Now Chaney is back to his starting unit.
Well, this will be Patrick Ewing's last workout before the All-Star game. He'll be starting for the East and going against Hakeem Olajuwon in the West.
And the Knicks also will be represented by John Starks in the slam dunk competition on Saturday night. Thorpe unleashes to Smith and is booted away. The official's not sure who deflected it out. Was it Vandeweghe? Was it Smith? And Kenny Smith is arguing he felt it was Vandeweghe, but Greg Willett says no. Mason played by Thorpe. Vandeweghe hit on the overplay by Buck Johnson. And that puts Kiki on the line.
See Larry Bird bowed out of the All-Star game, naturally, the three-point shooting contest, and won't be playing in the game, of course. And the NBA named Michael Adams to fill in for Larry Bird, not at starting forward, of course, but to take that All-Star spot. Adams has had an excellent year as well.
Kiki Vandeweghe, 80% at the line. His free throw shooting has been slightly off this season. But the Knicks have gone extremely well at the foul line tonight. It's the Knicks 83 and the Rockets 72. The Knicks trying to avenge their poor performance in Houston back in mid-November when they were beaten 90-79 by the Rockets. Thorpe had it knocked away. Wilkins on the run. With 9 unanswered points to take a 13-point lead.
Well, the two-guard position is performing well now. John Starks wasn't doing it as well, but Gerald Wilkins is exploding.
An excellent defensive effort by the Knicks. Anthony for Ewing. Won't count. He's called for a travel. On Patrick Ewing. The Knicks with 9 consecutive points. They lead it by 13 with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Vandeweghe pushing Johnson. That is a non-shooting foul. The Knicks with only their 4th team foul. So the fouls have hurt the Rockets here in the fourth quarter. They went over the limit early.
One of the key things for the Knicks tonight, and it revolves around Olajuwon, is that he hasn't been that sharp lately, and that means the Knicks have not had to double team him as much as in the past, which further means that the Knicks guards can guard their men. Now in that play, Olajuwon showing his toughness even with people converging on him. But by the Knicks guards able to stay with their men and challenge their jump shots, it has helped the Knicks all-around defensive effort.
Kenny Smith getting a piece of it. And it will be Houston ball. Hakeem Olajuwon shooting only 6 for 16. 12 points. Comes in averaging better than 20 per game. Now they double up. Vandeweghe with the steal and a foul call on Olajuwon. That is his 4th.
That was his response to the double teaming.
So Vandeweghe will go to the foul line. And Mark Jackson makes his return. Kiki Vandeweghe back to the line. He's 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Jackson replacing Anthony. Jackson and Wilkins now in the guard positions with Ewing, Vandeweghe, and Mason up front. The Knicks have received strong play from all their forwards tonight. McDaniel with a solid game, 16 points, 10 rebounds. Oakley, 8 points, hitting the outside shot, also 11 rebounds. And Mason and Vandeweghe have done a nice job. The Knicks lead 87-74. 4:20 to go in the fourth quarter. Mason switching off on Maxwell. Here's Buck Johnson. Oh! Rebounded by Wilkins. Again, the Knicks on the run. Jackson delivers to Vandeweghe. Yes. The Knicks with their biggest lead of the night, a 15-point margin. Vandeweghe has 11. Vandeweghe with the double up. Maxwell and Thorpe with the rebound. Foul called on the Knicks. Mason called for the push. That's 4 on Mason. Now the Knicks go over the foul limit. Thorpe to the line, but first a timeout taken by the Rockets. 3 minutes, 49 seconds to go in this fourth quarter.
So I'm doing my sound check.
Hello, hello, hello.
And I hear this woman's voice.
Crunch that last chord. I'll show you.
She grabbed the guitar.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes, Patrick up by 10 points, although the rebounding is equal right now. But Patrick has gotten great support also from his teammates. Real consistent performance. And also, Marv, the Knicks' fortunes turned around, directly related in the last several minutes to the return of Gerald Wilkins to this game. Gerald's given the Knicks a lot of energy as usual, and their running game has enable them to open up a lead here.
Now the Rockets go to some pressure. Mason with the bullet pass to Vandeweghe. Oh, beautifully thrown by Jackson for assist number 16. His season high is 17. His career high is 18. It has been a magical night for Mark Jackson in directing the club and throwing passes to the front line. The Knicks now lead 91-76. Tripping foul called on Wilkins. Sleepy Floyd checking back in. Buck Johnson will sit down, so Don Chaney looking for some firepower going to the three-guard setup. Vernon Maxwell will shoot a couple. Vernon Maxwell is 3 for 3 from the line. He was silent in the first half, then scored 14 points in the third quarter. That following the poor shooting first half. Maxwell 0 for 6 from the field.
Don Chaney's trying to convince Vernon he doesn't have to shoot 25-foot bombs to be a top scorer for this team. And he certainly has calmed down with the three-point attempts. I remember when we were in Houston, he was bombing them away all night long.
Yes, I recall you really appreciated Vernon's shot selection.
Actually, I felt sorry for Kenny Smith playing with him.
Wilkins. Ewing's back tap handled by Floyd. Thorpe is down, putting the move on Jackson. Back come the Knicks, just under 3 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. It's also been a very team-oriented performance by the Knicks. A very unselfish outing with the ball being swung around. Some excellent passes, a host of assists. Here's Ewing. Yes. And again, Mark Jackson finding the open man.
Yes, we're on an assist count now for Mark Jackson.
And for Mark, that equals his season high. He has 17. Rockets ball with 15 on the 24.
How many points does Mark have?
10.
So he's accounted for 44 of the Knicks' 93 points.
Excellent mathematics, John.
Very significant point, Mark.
2:20 remaining in the fourth. Maxwell for 3. So Vernon Maxwell with his second three-point field goal. The Knicks now lead 93-81 as we approach 2 minutes remaining in the fourth.
Hey, go back.
2 minutes. Shot clock at 7. Ewing comes out to set the pick. Wilkins battling for possession.
Well, Gerald played outside of himself on that move, but it worked out okay.
16 for Wilkins. The Knicks 95. Houston 81. A minute 40 to go. Maxwell gets inside, and Olajuwon does the rest. Knicks now lead by 12. And I would think the Knicks will look to use the clock a bit. Minute and a half to go in the fourth. Shot clock at 10. Wilkins for 3. Yes. And Mark Johnson will get assist number 18, so that ties his career high. Did it against the Bulls twice back in '88. Olajuwon with a wild shot, rebounded by Vandeweghe. So Hakeem is now 7 for 18 in what he will consider to be a forgettable evening in New York. Just under 1 minute remaining in the fourth.
A lot of pressure on the man who gets the next pass from Mark Jackson, Marv.
Well, people here not aware of it, but Jackson shoots the jumper.
Do we give him an assist to himself?
Not unfortunate. Well, it does not work that way.
Oh, okay.
The Knicks by 17. Vandeweghe with the steal. 40 seconds remaining. Mark Jackson with 18 assists to equal a career high. The Knicks lead by 17. All right, Vandeweghe, and there it is. Assist number 19 for Mark Jackson. That is a career high for Mark. Maxwell, and that's a goaltend. The basket counts. The Knicks now leading 102-85. 12 points and 19 assists for Mark Jackson. Now you wonder if Mark realizes that he's had the big number. Now he has to feel that he's had an excellent game, but I think if... Now, why don't you, matter of fact, why don't you check it out?
I know players that count points and rebounds during games, but I don't know of anyone who ever counted assists.
Oh, Mark with a hot rod Huntley move, firing the ball toward the ceiling. A superb performance by the Knicks as we head to the All-Star break, and for Pat Riley and his club, a very nice way to go into the All-Star weekend. The Knicks have 30-16. Mark Jackson, our Evian player of the game. 19 assists, 12 points. Career high for Mark. The Knicks are now 2 full games in front of the Boston Celtics, who are not scheduled tonight. And the Knicks now will rest up, and they will resume Wednesday against the Pacers in Indiana. Rockets drop to 25-22. Stay tuned. Our post-game show is coming up.
The All-Star 102-85, breaking it open in the fourth quarter of play. And what a performance by Mark Jackson. There's the feed to Gerald Wilkins for the slam. And then comes the career-high assist number 19. Jackson with 12 points and 19 assists in the ball game. Vandeweghe, the recipient of this Jackson feed, and the Knicks go on to win it in convincing fashion. And the Knicks led pretty much the entire way. They had a nice run in the first quarter of play, led by 11 at the half. The Rockets cut it to 4 at the end of 3 quarters of play. But then the Knicks with that 9-0 run in the fourth, and they were never headed. So New York goes into the All-Star break 10 complete games ahead of last year. The Knicks very impressive going into the break in first place in the Atlantic Division, and they lead the Boston Celtics by a full 2 ball games. Knicks are now 18-5 at home. That was after struggling at home for quite a while, and they have the sound win tonight. Let's take a look at the scores in this ball game, and for the Knicks, they were plentiful. Patrick Ewing leads the way with 24, and the leading scorer summary brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers, Advantage Jeep and Eagle. Gerald Wilkins contributed 19. He shot 9 for 14. Xavier McDaniel only 7 for 18 from the field tonight. He had 16 points. Vandeweghe played well, a solid fourth quarter. He had 13. And Jackson, as I mentioned earlier, had 12. For the Rockets, Otis Thorpe with 21 points. Vernon Maxwell had 21. Hakeem Olajuwon just 7 for 18. He had 6 air balls in this one. And 12 points for Sleepy Floyd, who shot 6 for 11. We'll come back with Coach Pat Riley's press conference in just a moment. New York Knicks defeat the Houston Rockets. They had lost to the Rockets 4 ball games in a row, and they turned things around tonight. The final at Madison Square Garden, 102-85. The dunk of the game is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that distinctively clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. Mark Jackson with the basketball. He had it in his hands much of the night. The around-the-back feed to Ewing, who fills the lane and slams it home. So a strong ball game again for Patrick Ewing. And when you look at Ewing and Olajuwon tonight, well, Patrick had a terrific game, and he shot most of his baskets on jump shots, and also he made some dunks. Ewing was 4 for 5 in the dunk department. Listen to this. 5 for 10 on his jump shots. Olajuwon made all 4 of his dunks, of course, but he was only 2 for 10 from the field, and he had 6 air balls. I don't remember the last time that Olajuwon struggled so poorly from the field. These two players have met 12 times now in their history. 7 victories for Olajuwon and 5 victories for Patrick Ewing. Now, for Mark Jackson, this was a record-setting evening. Prior to tonight, his record was 18 assists. This evening, he gets 19 to break the mark. And Pat Riley, the coach of the Knicks, standing by to address the press. Let's go to Pat.
I thought the first period, it was obvious that, the guys, came ready to play, and also, with the idea to go into the All-Star break on a positive note. That's the best first quarter we played in a long time, and the intensity was there, playing real hard, and I really thought it was keyed mostly by Oak. When we do some things defensively where Oak and Patrick are the keys, and Oak and Patrick in the first period were trapping and rotating and blocking and boarding, and I think the one thing about Charles that we sort of forget, he had 10 rebounds at halftime, and he played a pretty good third quarter, and then you take him out and sort of finish the game with Mason, with Kiki, and it's a testimony to what he's about this year. And a lot of guys want to come back in the rotation, and he just wants to win. He wants us to close the win out, and I thought he did an exceptional job tonight. But it's just a great win, and it's a good way to go into the break at 30-16.
Pat, what were you happy about the team taking away from Houston?
Well, save for the turnovers that gave them 15 in the first half, we stressed that you cannot give Houston easy baskets. You got to make them really work and earn everything they get. And how we categorize easy baskets would be, breakaway layups, born out of the turnovers or bad shots, where they're flying. Their guys fly, and they long outlet passes to half court, and they're usually laying it up. So, and also second shots. We didn't want to give them a lot of second shots. Everything they were going to have to, everything else they were going to have to really earn, and I thought that was really the case. Other than the easy baskets they got off our turnovers and some second shots, they had to work for a lot of things.
Kind of over the second half, what do you want to improve as you head toward the playoffs? In what areas?
Well, I'm satisfied defensively with what we're doing. I think the guys are really stepping up, and they understand what we want. Philosophically, we can continue to improve our offense and some of our execution and things that we want out of the offense. I mean, there's a lot of areas we can grow in, but offensively, if we could pick up another 6 points somewhere, then I think we'd be on our way. But, this is going to take work.
With 30 wins after break, are you pleased with where you are right now?
I'm satisfied right now, but it reminds me of a commercial that they had a couple of years ago about a football coach, and I can't remember the product. I won't be selling products here, but he came in at halftime and he started chewing the linemen out they got to the quarterback about 6 times in a row, and he was on him, and then one of the tackles looked at him and said, "But coach, we're ahead 31-0. And he said, "That's the point. As soon as you're satisfied, then you're on your way down." So I don't think we can be satisfied. I think we have to continue to try to get to another level. And the 30 wins is nice, but it's not going to mean anything if we don't take advantage of it in the second half.
Pat, the fourth quarter, they pulled it in 4. It seemed like maybe this is going to be a wire job, and your team really spurted off that. Was it more?
I pushed it with Patrick and with X. I thought maybe we might be able to break it at the end of the third, or maybe get 8 or 10 ahead, and so I pushed it too far with both those guys, and I thought bringing Kiki in at that time a little bit cold, and bringing Mark back in gave us a little more life. Kiki hit some big shots, some free throws, and he made about 2 or 3 good defensive plays. Doubled Hakeem once and stripped them, so we got a little life on the floor at that time, and was able to close it out.
Pat, Mark Jackson had a career high with assists tonight, 19. Did you note his passing being a little special?
He has his brother up there keeping the stats, does he? No, he's doing a good job. Mark's playing. I'm hard on my point guards. I really am. I expect a lot out of them. Both Mark and Greg, have an exceptional disposition, because I think that is the most important position on the team. And they have great responsibility of running the show and doing the things that we want and getting the ball to people. And You know, I blame them. For every turnover, I'll blame them. I mean, if Gerald makes a turnover, I'll blame the point guard. I mean, because he shouldn't have had the ball at that time, you know, or something. But Mark's been really, really great this year, and tonight is a testimony to that. You know, he knows what we want. He runs the offense, and I think he's reading guys better than he has all season long, and he's just going to get better for us.
Yeah. It seemed like Patrick almost let things come to him a little bit. He was very in control. It didn't seem to be a big personal challenge.
Well, you know, we made a point about that for the game, and I think I could sort of thank Sports Illustrated for the cover story and also the caption that said, "Are they for real?" You know, I mean, there's still a question mark. Regardless of how many games that you win, you know, we continue to strive, but we cannot feel like we have arrived, you know, and there is a question of, well, are they for real? And in the last 10 games that we played against Doherty and Hakeem and Robinson were 0-10 against the other great centers in the league, and I didn't want this to be a personal duel. I didn't want Patrick to have to come out and feel like he had to beat Hakeem, and this was going to be a team win, and for us to sort of teach people that this team can be for real, they got to start beating quality teams on a regular basis in the second half of the year. Otherwise, there will be that question mark.
You seemed particularly pleased with about 3 minutes left in the fourth when they broke a press. What was it exactly that really charged you up?
Well, we got a layup out of it. You know, as I've said a couple of times, you know, sometimes our fast breaks can be a real living experience. You know what I mean? As you could see, one time we had a 5-on-1 that turned into a dunk for Hakeem at the other end. So we got it through. I mean, it wasn't. We did not attack it as the way we diagrammed it, but somehow we got it for a layup. I enjoyed that.
Did he open your eyes in the last 15
minutes? Oh yeah.
So you know what he's done to really pick.
I'll tell you, Kiki's changed his disposition. I think, you know, if you don't ask him right now, he'll roll his eyes, you know. I mean, but I think he knows exactly what this team's strengths are and what we need. We need an aggressive disposition and a posture defensively. We cannot be soft. We cannot play off people. We cannot play a protective defense. And so, you know, Kiki's getting up into people. He's making aggressive rebounds. He's making aggressive plays, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's playing more too. Besides his offense that is helping us, that's what we want, and that's what he's given us.
Pat, it's news when Hakeem doesn't dominate a game. What was the key to holding him in check?
Well, a lot of the stuff that they run, they like to run it off pick and rolls, and we were blitzing the pick and roll and taking away what we call pass backs and then posting Kareem. Get a lot of defense out on the pick and roll and then leave Hakeem open. And so that forced them to get into the secondary part of their offense, which was they did exploit it out of our rotations. Then they found Thorpe underneath the basket a number of times, but I thought Hakeem was being pushed out somewhat until the fourth quarter by Patrick, and we gave some real good help. Patrick pressured his shot. In the first period, we contested 67% of their shots, and that's a high. That's a season high. So I think there was a lot of pressure, and we had a lot of good help. Okay? You guys, see you after 5 days.
The coach's press conference brought to you by the New York Times. Well, the story tonight at the Garden was Mark Jackson, who had 19 assists. Here's one of them looking down low, finding the big man, Patrick Ewing, for the fall-away jumper. Mark Jackson with a career high in assists tonight, but perhaps his greatest assist thus far in his life was performed by helping his wife Desiree and the birth of Mark Action Jackson II, who joins us courtside. Mark, congratulations on the victory.
Well, it was just a great victory and a great way to finish off the first half of the season, and we're just excited.
Did you know that you were close to a record near the end of the ball game?
Not at all. At halftime, I knew I had 9 assists, and I just wanted to continue to pace, continue to hit the open guys, and guys just did a great job. Kiki with the jump shots, Xavier, Gerald, and Patrick in the middle. Just phenomenal job.
You've come back with 2 two very solid performances after having one of your most difficult ball games of the year against Golden State. How did you turn it around?
Well, it was a game that I felt very bad about after the game when I went home. My stats looked good, but I was unhappy about it because I wasn't the aggressor. I allowed Tim Hardaway to do whatever he wanted to do on the basketball floor. And I just made a vow to myself that I have to be the aggressor. So the last 2 games I've been picking guys up full court, trying to pick up the intensity level, and things have been going well.
Tonight's performance going into the All-Star break, it's got to give the club a little bit of a lift and maybe some momentum.
A lot of a lift and a great deal of momentum. We look forward to that coming into tonight's game. We wanted to end the first half of the season on a sweet note. And now we look forward to continue our condition for the next 3 days and just come ready for the second half to do the job.
How did you take away Olajuwon and the Rockets' inside game?
A lot of great help. Guys really dug in when the ball went to Hakeem. Guys came off the perimeter, made him kick the ball out. When he got into his move, he had to face 2 or 3 guys in the paint. And when that happens, no matter who you are, that's tough.
Last year at the All-Star break, it was a different story for you personally. You were struggling. Here you are this year, riding a high. How did you turn it around, Mark?
Well, things are really going well, and I have a great situation right now. Coach believes in me. I have the opportunity to play, and things are really going well. I worked hard in the offseason thanks to Greg Brittingham, and I couldn't be happier right now, and I thank the good Lord for keeping me strong.
And as far as the ball club is concerned, Pat Riley said he's satisfied with 30 wins, but there's much more work to be done.
Well, there is a lot of work to be done, and we're looking forward to it. We have to be happy about the first half, but not content. So we look forward to the second half, come back ready with a great deal of intensity and fire, and Lord knows where we can go.
Do you agree, Mark Action Jackson number 2?
Yes, indeed.
All right, congratulations to both of you and continued success.
Thank you.
The Jacksons, Mark Action Jackson number 1 and Mark Action Jackson the 2nd. And what a ball game tonight for the young man from St. John's University. Here he goes coast to coast, didn't dish there, put it up for 2 of his 12 points. And guests will receive a Be My Guest restaurant certificate from American Express. Be My Guest restaurant certificates are a tasteful gift for any occasion. Give your friends and family a unique dining experience at any restaurant they choose in the U.S. and Canada that welcomes the American Express card. Call 1-800-535-GIFT or visit a participating American Express travel office in the New York metropolitan area. Right now, let's rejoin Marv Albert and John Andres.
All right, Bruce and John, we were talking at the start of the game about the significant turnaround as we approach the All-Star break, taking a look back at what the Knicks were facing last year at this time when they were 20-29, and just listening to Mark Jackson and think back to what he was going through last season. It's just a remarkable turnaround by this organization.
I can't think of a better word, Marv, so I'll repeat it. It is remarkable. Mark Jackson in particular, it's nice to see because he went through the throes of a lot of agony last year.
Some of it his fault, which he admits. It just did not work out under the previous regime. He was not in their plans, and they did not think that they could turn him around, particularly defensively. As you know, it's so rare for a player to be able to improve his defensive game, and not that Jackson won't have his problems, but he's come a long way in that department.
It began with his body, and he did body work over the summer to get himself ready, and good support from the coaching staff in that area, and a lot of patience. And he did it himself, and it's interesting that it should happen now at the 30th win of the year, that he should have his career high in assists. It's kind of symbolic of the improvement of he and the team. And it's also interesting, Marv, to see Pat Riley cite Charles Oakley tonight as a key man in this game, as from his eyes anyway. He will not stand out in the statistical report tomorrow of the game, but it's a very fine balance, I think, that Pat Riley has brought to this team. And he's integrated everyone into the mix very well. I can recall when training camp began, so much was expected. How's it going to happen? How is this magician going to change things? How's he going to get it done? And it has happened. It really has happened to a great degree. And yet, at the 30-win mark in the post-game report, Pat Riley stands there and says we can't be fulfilled, filled with ourselves and what we've accomplished. So. All things considered, when you go back to the first week of October when the Knicks went to training camp, I have to think Pat Riley, if he could look ahead to today, would be delighted, privately delighted at where he is.
Well, tonight's game also may well be considered a microcosm of what the Knicks have accomplished this year. It's a very unselfish effort. I can't recall a bad shot that was taken, and that, among many problems the Knicks had last year. And that's Riley. That's what he has done. We can recall, and that's happened this season from time to time, Patrick Ewing standing outside and making poor decisions with shots. That has certainly been cut down. And you cite Oakley, and at one point, perhaps he should have been shooting more, but you can see that even Charles is working back into it, and usually when he takes a shot, it's a good one.
Well, now the question is, the second half of the season certainly will be coming up quickly, and the quality teams, it will appear, remain the next challenge, the next hurdle for the Knicks to get over. They've proven they can handle the mediocre teams that are struggling, and now there are signs that they can handle the quality teams. And as we know, other teams have problems too, as the Celtics have demonstrated, and other teams that have been considered top quality teams in the past. So the Knicks seem to be handling their problems well and rolling and building momentum. So all things are quite positive, and I guess Sports Illustrated did a good job in citing the Knicks this week as the cover boys.
And to this point, the Knicks have not faced the Sports Illustrated cover hex since the cover appeared. They've won 2 out of 2, beating Miami and now Houston. I know that you're headed to Orlando. I myself flying down. I guess the bus trip will take a couple of days. John, you get there Saturday. You leave tomorrow.
I hope to be there ahead of you, Marv, but I know you won't be announcing this weekend. Will you be going back to ball boying days? Or?
That was a suggestion of several, actually, but I'll just be taking in the entire weekend. And then following the All-Star break, the Knicks resume against the Pacers at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. We'll be on the air, John, MSG2 on Wednesday night at 7:30, and then back home next Thursday to face the Chicago Bulls. Let's get back to Bruce.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. So the Knicks have now won 7 of 8. We'll come back with Lisa Burkhardt at the MSG Sports Desk. Check in another NBA action, plus more to come. So stay with us.
Teamwork. It's about common goals and group achievement, which is a beautiful thing, but it's very boring. Which is why we created Foot Locker Slam Fest. The hottest team players in professional football, baseball, and track get a chance to do it all themselves this season in Foot Locker Slam Fest. No passes, no referees, no teamwork, just money shots and hang time by some of the greatest athletes ever to palm a basketball. Foot Locker Slam Fest 92, halftime during college games on ABC. Don't miss it.
New York Knicks 102, Houston Rockets 85. The Knicks led throughout. Houston cut it to 6 in the third quarter, but that's about as close as they got. The fast break of the game is brought to you by Midas. For breaks done right, remember, nobody beats Midas, nobody. And the fast break tonight a little bit different than usual because 2 big men are providing the action. Patrick Ewing bringing it up the court, gives it to Oakley. There's the shovel pass back to Ewing for the reverse slam. And 2 of the 24 points in the game for Patrick Ewing, who was very much dominant figure. 24 points, 13 boards, 5 blocks. He totally outplayed Hakeem Olajuwon, who ended up with 6 air balls in the ball game. Right now, let's check in with Lisa Burkhardt at the MSG Sports Desk.
Thanks, Bruce. The Nets have not been able to pull out of their tailspin tonight, losing their 7th straight. This one to the Washington Bullets, 124-108. Bill Fitch forced to start rookie Kenny Anderson in place of the injured Mookie Blaylock tonight. First quarter was all Bullets. David Wingate on the alley-oop pass to Purvis Ellison for the slam. The Bullets led 33-30 after 1 quarter, and things got much worse as the night continued. The Bullets roll in the second quarter as well. Michael Adams comes up court. He hits the three-pointer to make it 64-50. Bullets at that point. They led by 15 at halftime. Bullets came out with a strong effort in the third. Here on the fast break, Adams feeds Wingate for the jam to put the Bullets up by 23, 76-53. Nice moves here by Andre Turner on the fast break. He feeds Greg Foster for the slam dunk, 111-83 Bullets, which caused Bullets fans, young and old, to dance with delight. The Bullets win at 124-108. In other games, it was Atlanta defeating Orlando tonight, 123-112. All-star Kevin Willis with 32 points. Detroit defeats Cleveland. The Pistons win their 4th straight. Charlotte over Golden State. The Warriors struggling on this road trip. Portland leading Dallas now 63-51 in the third. Milwaukee in front of Denver 66-61 in the third. And it's San Antonio leading Indiana by a bucket in the third quarter. Larry Brown is the new head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. Brown was fired as coach of the Spurs on January 21st and will replace Mike Schuler, who was let go by the Clippers on Sunday. Clippers GM Elgin Baylor introduced Brown to the media today. Brown, who will become the first person to become a head coach of 2 teams in the same season, said he was humbled a little bit by his firing by the Spurs.
The way I
It's the first time I've been fired, and any time you're fired, you start doubting yourself in some respects, and people, you know, doubt you. But it's just another step in my life. I want to be a coach. I don't think I could do anything else, and I want to do it the right way. And this is a challenge because we've had some problems in the past. But more than that, it's a wonderful opportunity, and that's what's exciting to me.
The NBA All-Star break begins tomorrow, of course. The All-Star game is Sunday in Orlando. Today, the NBA announced that Scottie Pippen of the Chicago Bulls will start in Larry Bird's place for the Eastern Conference squad. Bird is still suffering from back trouble. He hasn't played since December 30th. In case you didn't know, today has been proclaimed Girls and Women in Sports Day. A lot of women are advancing in the sports world, including sports management. One of the highest-ranking females in the NBA is the president of the Washington Bullets, Susan O'Malley. O'Malley relayed one occasion where she had to deal with